Okay, so in a nutshell, so I'm from New Zealand, not Australia, despite many getting confused by my accent. So I grew up on a farm in mid-Canterbury of New Zealand, about half an hour drive away from the nearest town, sheep and beef farm, and then went to boarding school at age 13, and a lot of people are like, oh, are you okay? And I'm like, I loved it. I absolutely loved boarding school. It was awesome. And then I went to university in Wellington, started a law degree and a political science degree. And then I decided I didn't want to be in New Zealand anymore and picked up and moved my life to Paris for 9 months and finished my degrees at Sciences Po in Paris. And then after that, I didn't want to go home. So I came here, and here we are.
And here we are.
Yeah. So I end up at this party with all of these like French Parisian socialites, music producers, performers, artists, etc. Really creative people. And just straight away, that experience was eye-opening because, okay, I put myself out there and I got rewarded by being able to arrive at this environment where I would never have arrived had I not just gone, bugger it, and just done it.
For real?
Yeah, and then a similar thing happened when I was in the south of France. I was travelling with 3 other New Zealanders, an Australian, and then we were coming from Nice, travelling towards Monaco, and we picked up a couple of people along the way, like an Italian person and a girl from India. And we were just like, oh, we're going to Monte Carlo tonight. Do you want to come?
It sounds dope to me.
Yeah, and
let's go. Let's go, Susanna. Let's go.
Let's go. And we turned up at Monte Carlo, and we were still in our beach clothes, like bare feet, everything, and we're like, oh my goodness, what is this place? There is just like super yachts everywhere. Just the wealth. It was crazy, like nothing I had ever seen before.
Yeah.
And I just said to my friends, you guys, I'm going to get us onto a super yacht tonight. I don't know how, but this is happening.
Love that.
This is happening.
Oh yeah, I love your mindset,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's proper. Yeah, go for it. You get me? Yeah, I like it, man.
This is happening.
Yeah.
Why not us?
Yeah, why not? I don't know how, but we're going to make it happen.
We're going to make sure it's dignified. Don't you worry.
Absolutely. Hey, Susanna's in the building. Yeah.
Apart from going to Australia a couple of times, I'd never been further than Australia. So arriving in Paris was my first overseas experience.
Oh, wow.
So obviously I was just like, it's so amazing.
Yeah.
This is awesome. I mean, everything just takes your breath away. And, in that sense, I am pretty grateful that I didn't do a heap of travel when I was younger, because I think that I was at the age where I could really appreciate everything.
Okay. Yeah.
So it was, so I got to Paris and did a bit of travel around France and south of France, etc. And started going to university. But it was in Paris that I sort of thought, okay, well, I'm in this new city. Nobody knows me. I can reinvent myself in the way that
you wanted to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And for me, that was getting much more into my music. So music has obviously been something that I've been connected to my entire life. It was my first love.
Okay. How was that like?
So I grew up, fortunately, with the sounds of a broad array of music, classical music, opera, jazz, blues, all of this great music from my parents' generation or generations before them. And so I certainly grew up with old school sounds. My mother just used to play CDs so loud and we just used to
take it all in.
So I think that I've been very lucky with my musical influences, but they're not exactly musical. but they were very encouraging of me being musical because they loved music so much. Yeah.
And like you said, and they used to play you a lot of different types of music from different genres and
like
things like that.
African music.
Yeah.
That's
beautiful.
American music, you know, all sorts of different kinds of music. Yeah.
Okay.
As I was out in Saint-Germain with a couple of friends and I was talking to these two artists and, well, one artist and one art dealer. And I said, oh, can I see what you do?
Yeah.
And then at that point, or I think a little bit earlier, my friend had said, oh, she's a singer.
Yeah.
And they said, well, we'll show you the art if you show us yours.
Interesting. Fair change.
Yeah, and then that's
Fair
the sort
change.
of thing that in New Zealand I wouldn't have done that. But I'm in the middle of the street outside a bar in Paris and I just start belting All of Me by Billie Holiday.
Jeez, yeah?
Yeah.
Did you have your guitar as well?
No, I was just a cappella.
Oh,
just,
a cappella,
just,
okay.
I mean, I didn't. I was at the pub. I mean,
yeah.
the Parisians don't call it a pub. Well, I was singing in jazz bands when I was in university in Wellington, but I think it gave me the opportunity to sort of start working on my own sound because in New Zealand, I would say there's a bit of a case of what we call tall poppy syndrome. Okay. I don't know if you've heard of that one, but
no, but it sounds interesting though.
Yeah, essentially New Zealanders, you know, they're wonderful people, but we have this culture where being humble and just staying in line and going through the normal motions of life is a big tick. So if you're too out there, it's just what are you doing? Come back in.
One of them ones, okay.
Yeah. So essentially, when I got to Paris, I'm like, well, I don't care anymore about people possibly thinking that I'm too out there or I'm too much or I'm too expressive, and I just noticed straight away, people just. I mean, I think my first eye-opening experience. I'll go. I have got a couple of stories.
No, go on. We're here. We're here for it, Susanna.